good afternoon. Welcome to Camnet TV Events of the Year News Summary. Events that happened from the 1st of January 2021 to the 31st of December 2021. I'm your host. My name is Precious Mzeya Sakaleji.
And I'm Jeffrey Siambo.
Yes, of course. Now, Zambia has been a hive of activities in the year 2021 with a number of events or stories that made headlines ranging from economic issues to community issues and also getting into the world of sports as well.
Yeah, we had a lot of stories that made headlines and, you know, one of them being the increased criminal activities that happened in Lusaka and many other parts of the country as one of the main sticking points of the year 2021. I think we're going to have to look at that as well.
Yes, of course. And also not forgetting, I have, from the top of my head, I have quite a number of issues that made headlines in my books. Not forgetting, we had put to rest the son of the soil, father of the nation, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, and also there we had seen different, we had different emotions from different people about where he was supposed to be buried, either where all the presidents buried?
At the Embassy Park,
yes,
right here in Lusaka.
The Embassy Park, or buried next to his late wife.
Late wife, yeah. That story is one which made highlights in the year 2021, you know, because of the importance of the man who we're talking about, you know, being a freedom fighter, you know, leading, not just in Zambia, liberating us, but even liberating the other parts of Africa, especially the southern region. You know, the man of great stature, so we lost him. And, you know, like you have said, it brought about a lot of mixed emotions in terms of where he should be buried. But all in all, people celebrated his life as KK and so on. So that's one of the main stories of the year 2021.
That made stories, yeah. And also not forgetting, I love political drama. If you don't know, now you know. There were so many fights with different political parties, especially the NDC. The NDC was going back and forth with the resignation of Chishimba Kambwili, going to PF, him resigning as the party president and also defecting to PF, not forgetting the Kafumba-led faction, Savoy Imboela, who should be the presidential candidate for the 2021 general election, which was held on the 12th of August 2021. I was interested. I love political fights because then if a party is fighting and having in-house wrangles, then for me that would determine how they'll handle national issues if they were to rule the country one day.
That speaks to the issue of democracy as a country, as Zambia. We're a democratic country, of course. But what I feel about this whole drama, the whole NDC drama, I can even say, you know, this drama is the same as the one which is happening in the DP, the Democratic Party. It's similar kind of drama. Yes. I can say, you know, it more or less interferes with our democracy as a country in terms of, you know, if intra-party infighting disturbs the overall democratic dispensation as a country. But, you know, that's one of the highlights that happened in 2021, and I think it made some noise, I must say. Yeah,
it really made some noise. It wasn't only the NDC. We had MMD is still going back and forth. We've got the New Hope and the other side, and also not forgetting now that Dr. Edgar Lungu is not contesting for the next election. Of course, that we know. Now the Patriotic Front needs to find a presidential candidate. Now we have the acting, who is Mr. Is it Mr. Given Luvinda? Given
Luvinda, again, there are issues concerning who acting in terms of
and why he is the one who is acting, but he's the vice president, so we all know once the president steps down, the acting vice president and stuff. But anyways, political fights were quite interesting. We enjoyed that, and we're hoping that with the stories that we have now, you will actually catch up on what you missed. So we've tried to gather one or two and just to make sure that we get to update you. So we'll quickly get into what we have today.
Yes. So of course, like I said earlier, we've had criminal activities that have been happening, you know, across, you know, 2021 has been quite challenging in that, you know, there seems to be an increase in the criminal activities, murders and so on and so forth. You know, some can attributed this to, you know, after the August elections, saying that those cadres that used to be in bus
are the ones that have gone back in the communities.
Now they don't have what to do. So they have resorted to crimes and criminal activity and so on. But that's not been proven really. But that's one of the things that have been talked about. So that's one of the stories in terms of the increased, you know, crime activities.
And also not forgetting, we will be looking at the stories of the disappearance of the TEMBO siblings. This one brought talks. It's still going on, and we're still just waiting for the authorities to actually tell us what really happened and what the conclusion is.
That's one of the stories again, which gathered a lot of interest.
Yes,
a lot of interest
it
among
is.
the people because of the nature of the story, right?
People were saying maybe it was politically influenced and stuff like that.
We had some political names being thrown in, you know,
crazy.
All these chiefs involved and so on. So up to now, I'm still a little confused.
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for the full story at the end of the day.
We'll just wait from the authorities to find out exactly, you know, the end of the story in terms of how everything happened. And so we are keen as Zambians. But that's one of the highlights of 2021, and that's one of the stories that gripped the nation, right? Yeah. So the other stories that it was the issue of voter registration as a build-up.
I was excited. I was one of the people that was looking forward to the elections.
This build-up in terms of stakeholders sometimes expressing unhappiness with the way things were going in terms of registration, the amount of time allocated. Observers had their own talk here and there, but of course those are expected. From my point of view, those are expected. But that's how it was.
And also we had issues of political violence. Okay, there would be times where different political parties are actually in one area and they're campaigning, and then you find this one removed the panga, this one had stuff like that. So the build-up was quite interesting, but then we even had issues where ECZ allocated not what is usually allocated for campaign period because of the COVID-19. So there were some talks from different stakeholders and also concerned citizens. But the build-up was overwhelming. The turn-up as well by the youths was, I was excited. I'm proud of you. Youths actually turned up during the elections. And also we that marrying to the other story which we'll be looking at during the 2021 general election, which was held in August, the eligibility of Dr. EDGAR LUNGU, him standing on the Patriotic Front ticket as the presidential candidate. This was his third election. Okay, so people were trying to figure out why is it that he is eligible to actually run for the, which they termed as the third term, because he had by-elections when we lost the founder of the Patriotic Front, which is Maisha Satame, so rest in peace. And then there was another election where he won against the then main opposition, the UPND, now the current governing political party, and now where he's lost. So there were so many talks. Now he's just said, you know what,
those were constitutional issues. Again, of course, the story, this particular story gripped the nation in terms of, like you've said,
petitions.
His third election in 2016. So some people, like you're saying, were trying to figure out, say, is it
why is it standing for the third time?
So there were a lot of interpretations when it came to the eligibility of him standing. You know, everybody, you know how the law is. The law sometimes can be a little ambiguous.
Yes, true.
Depending on how sharp you are and how much you read, and you can be able to interpret it from your point of view. But the Constitutional Court itself came out and said, okay, this is
eligible to run.
And you know, the Constitutional Court, if it says, and we have to follow what it says. True. So yeah, that's one of the stories that really made headlines, I must say.
And also the other one?
That's the issue of the inauguration, right?
Yes.
The inauguration of the 7th Republican president, there was drama in terms of the positive drama, in terms of excitement. People were happy, you know, after the voting on the 12th and, you know, the subsequent announcement and subsequent winning and so on. So that was one of the stories, again, where people got excited.
That one, you know, I actually missed the celebration, eh?
Okay.
What happened was, we were doing the election updates, so then the time they were announcing who was president, I took time to rest. And I literally woke up the following day around 12 hours, and I had to start catching up, and I'm like, oh, and you're done government. It was an exciting moment for the nation. President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA made headlines considering the fact that he has been contesting for the presidential seat for a very long time. So people were excited. The youths turned up and they voted. Every vote counted anyway by the end of the day. We had different political parties. I was actually impressed with Mr. Harry Kalaba from the DP party, where he came out third, considering the fact that the party is just new. And also not forgetting, we had Mr. Hyvie Hamududu.
He made quite some headlines.
People were like, there's a new man in town.
And, you know, the man managed to, you know, to win an election in terms of, you know, his member of parliament. He's a parliamentarian.
Yes, he does.
Apart from the PF, the UPN, which has the majority, the PF has got, you know, the second majority, or the second in terms of numbers. Then the other one is Party for National Unity. As in,
I was like, He's really made a name for himself.
Yeah.
And I remember after the inauguration ceremony and the swearing in of the 7th Republican president, I actually went on social media and asked the people, for example, we're just, as an example, where the president, the current ruling party, if you were to have elections in the next election, who do you think will actually be a potential? And then Hive Hamdud actually made headlines. I was like, he's really made a name for himself. Yeah, I feel like he should continue. And he's been attending quite a number of events because he's trying to keep the hype going on. I think we should have him on one of the breakfast shows. Yeah, how talks to producers.
Yes, we do that. Then the other one is on the budget, right?
Yes, the budget. As we all know, the first budget, new dawn government, expectations from the general citizenry, different stakeholders, key holders and stuff like that. We saw the presentation of the 2022 national budget by our finance minister, Mr. Stumbe Komsokotwane, and also one of them, which is I'm excited about, is the free education that's coming in, and also other issues, the deployment of recruitment of teachers, and also health personnel, 11,000 teachers. And finally that's happening. So now I was happy about the teacher part, because just a few days ago I was reading a story where they were saying we'll have a deficit of teachers because people are not venturing into the education studies because of the many unemployment levels with the teachers. I'm just hoping that can be sorted out, because we need them. Like, teachers are the reasons why we're speaking English.
We have a deficit of teachers. We have a deficit
like in the next 7 years.
So okay, we only hope that what's in the budget can be actualized in terms of the recruitments and other areas. One of the areas that I think is positive about the budget is the increase of the CDF. I think if that can be implemented, then
we'll be a rich nation. And also, just on the budget, which also follows the story of the fuel subsidies being removed. So I'm just here. I'm like, let's just wait and see where this goes.
Then, in terms of sport, again, Zambia failed to qualify for the World Cup. I mean, the standards of soccer currently have been going down in the country in terms of, okay, I do acknowledge the fact.
Do you still have the coach? Did we change the coach?
We changed the coach. We have a new coach, Zambian. I don't know whether I can say he's an interim coach or what, but we have a new coach.
Anyway, I'm not into sports. Amos should have been here to highlight all
that. So, but anyway, we hope that in the coming year, things might improve, because this year it's been quite disappointing. And you know how people love soccer in Zambia. And, we only hope that 2022 holds good things for soccer.
I know, even though I'm not a soccer fan, it just hurts me. It pains me when I hear that Zambia hasn't qualified for a certain league. I'm just here like, I know I can't play soccer, but then we are making headlines with our local players up there in the international teams. Talk of Patson Daka, he's been making quite headlines and stuff like that. So we still have people that are out there. And also, no need to brag, but the Shpolopolo, the Copper Queens have been making headlines. I feel like they've been doing, that's the positive side. I feel like they've been doing better than the Shpolopolo. So the future is female. But anyway, so those are some of the headlines of the stories that we'll be looking at on events of the year news summary. That's from the 1st of January to the 31st of December 2021, being today. So we'll just get into the details of that. But before that, let's get into this break. We'll be back after this.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. In case you've just joined us, this is the Camnet TV Events of the Year News Summary. Now, quickly getting into the first story that made headlines in the year 2021. The year 2021 has seen a number of happenings in the community, from fires which destroys property worth thousands of kwacha to suspicious deaths after various bodies were discovered in the plain sight of different communities. Now, on the 5th of November 2021, the body of a man was discovered floating in Ngwenya Dam of Misisi compound morning by residents of the same compound. Now, according to the residents, the body was spotted at around 10 hours in the morning by a group of people who went to fetch water from the same dam. Now, also on the 28th of September 2021, a woman of Kalikiliki compound of Lusaka was allegedly murdered by unknown people. And also the Zambia police identified the victim as 29-year-old Ali Skapiri of the same compound. Now, the body was discovered behind a named bar within the compound at about 05:45 in the early hours of that particular morning. Let's get into the details. We'll be back.
I woke up, I heard some noise outside. My cousin was screaming, saying the house is on fire. So actually I thought it's my house getting burnt or the house that was on fire. After I came out, I came to realize that it was the neighbor's house that was on fire.
Tanda cha report ife kusense nje kumvaje vantu vakamajia nti kuni muntu wakufa kuja kuseri kuti kupeta zona uja muntu kupeta zona nuogona uja muntu nuomwalira mangata aso eronga tanga na futi chemichirengesa so muno makrime mutfani yambira namba ni kudala chemichirengesa so polisi nankala kudala.
2021 has not been devoid of shocking happenings in the community, which have left citizens in wonder. 28th October 2021 saw the gutting of a house in Lusaka's Minu Ibex area in a case attributed to an electrical fault. A house of Lusaka's Minu Ibex area belonging to businessman Stephen Shamenda went up in flames, leaving nothing but ashes of the once luxurious mansion. The fire, which began at around 05 hours, was only noticed by the house help, who alerted the owners, but it was too late as one of the rooms had already caught fire up to the rooftop.
I woke up, I heard some noise outside. My cousin was screaming, saying the house is on fire. So actually I thought it's my house getting burnt or the house that was on fire. After I came out, I came to realize that it was the neighbor's house that was on fire. The time we were getting inside, the fire was already in the middle of the house somewhere there. So we really tried to help the neighbor out. The only thing we managed to get out was the TV and the brace stand. The rest was gutted. So the other matter at hand is the ZESCO. ZESCO really needs to work on the power outages, because it's what almost caused my house also to get burnt. And this house, it was caused of an electrical fault. So want ZESCO to explain to us what's really going on. The power outages are just too much. There's a complaint. We have a tree behind. There's a complaint. We've already launched in a complaint. The tree is not cut. So when it rains or when the tree shakes, at times we get dim light. So we want ZESCO to really work on these issues, and we really appreciate.
Around 06, around 06:30, tenzona cha bechusi. So ndepetna bota tamangira kutifika chabe na nyumba yangu kupi. Leo naona bwambo sakira number 5 brigade vantu. So after basta contact na 5 brigade, ndipo naona bura 5 brigade na pesa nyumba zitabwanji ya unomta kudala.
Mwanzi chamineti pepa mwanzi tifuna boma evatandizireko ava mwanzi kulibemwa mnanga asungile vana mamasiye vamne vasunga.
Brother of the businessman who spoke to Camnet TV on phone says his brother could not be reached as even the family's phones were destroyed in the fire. Meanwhile, Fire Brigade Chief Fire Officer Mr. Robert Seulu has told Camnet News that the fire brigade is always ready, but says people report when it is too late.
What happened that fire could have started around 05. Now it was discovered by a maid around 05:30 by the name of Chico, when she heard a pop sound in the loft. Now they never called us. They called our colleagues, the ZAF people. That is around 05:30, and ZAF personnel turned out and when they started fighting the fire. Now the fire became so intense, became so big. Then the passers-by called the fire brigade. That was at 05:55, almost after 1 hour. That's when the fire brigade Lusaka was called. And we turned out. By the time the Lusaka fire brigade was reaching there, the roof had already collapsed.
He says the process of building mini fire services is underway to see to it that these services are readily available to communities. On 5th November 2021, residents of Lusaka's Misisi compound woke up to a shocking scene of a body floating in the local dam. Various bodies have been found here, both young and old, and residents have expressed fear for their lives. They state that the said body was discovered around 10 hours Friday morning by some people who went to fetch water from the dam, as it is used for various activities, including washing of clothes.
Bantu daily bamwera apamene apa daily ati bantu bali pangwenyi.
They have expressed concern that despite various promises that the dam will be fenced off, nothing has been done to date. They add that various people have been found in the dam, including those said to have drowned, as well as suspected murder victims.
Because banakamba kuti ingwenya akamba tikuli muntu amana gula banakumba na foundation but ingwenya simangiwa. So ife tifuna ti government iyi ngwenya imangiwe. Bantu ni bambiri no kuyambira January bantu bamene baferapo stinga pende no penda ni bambiri maningi kulwena ngo amabayiwa bachokera kuchawama babora kubatera mwamene omko kanyama ku John Lenge babora kubatera mwamene omu. So ife tipembe ku government yanganepo pali ichi chingwenya ngati nikumanga offense bamange offense bakena banchito akutoka zichironda ichi tamati funa okambirapo mavuto ya chiramu banamba kudala tizamanga kali ma president yangati amene achokapo siachitapo volongoso pali ingwenya hii bantu bakufa kuseni na mzuba isetalema mwandini government yanyoa ni yanganepo ndiye chatina votela mavuto ya chiramu kuno kungwenya bantu bachiramu dumwira umu baike kwanza beke kwa offense kapela abantu bazaleka po kudumgira papa talema kuona vitumbi.
Fire rescue services in the company of the Lusaka City Council LCC were on hand to retrieve the body. Police spokesperson Reha Monga says the police have been notified of the incident. The body has since been deposited in the University Teaching Hospital UTH awaiting postmortem, and investigations into the matter have been launched. For residents of Kalikiliki compound in Lusaka, the morning of 28 September 2021 reviewed the body of a young woman behind a local bar in a suspected murder case. The lifeless body of a 29-year-old woman of Kalikiliki compound was found on this exact spot Tuesday morning behind this bar. Despite the place where she died from being only a stone's throw away from houses, no one came to the rescue of the victim, who is believed to have been murdered. Residents state that the area is not safe as it only has one police post, which also has transport challenges, making it difficult to access the police should they need help.
Tanda cha report ife kusese nchi kumbaje bantu bakamajia nti kuni muntu wakufa kuja kuseri kuti kupeza zona uja muntu kupeza zona nuogona uja muntu nuomwali mangata aso erongata anga na futi chemichirengesa so muno makira mutfani yambira namba ni kudala chemichirengesa so polisi nankala kudala polisi kupeza wachebuli bantu kapana ba polisi kapana peza kacheka kapana balipolo 4 transport balibe so uja muntu amwadela kusenseni pa bantu wachita report kusenseni apampamelo amnyamula manje this time
bana seni business press sipankala bantu sipagona bantu kugwera muno tigwera mzuba tikagulisa ma business ya aliyense akomboka so changaza yewe choti dabwisa pali mgeozi uyu ukambati imwe muri kuno kunyumba ndani ku press yanu kuli muntu wakufa ndiye pana bwa kuno ku press kuna pesa ishina akapokola kula kudala bakapokola baja bani chosera nyula ija na mulangana ina mgeozi na muziba pamenenzo nkala ni muziba bwanji nata ni muziba mgeozi amabwera chabe ni mamuona wona launda ma press enzo duala nata siniza kapenzo duala siniza kapenzo bwanji katika ma press zose sana timaona nchazo longa zupita kwa siri.
Meanwhile, Independent Kalikiliki Ward Councillor Mr. Shadrack Mwanza says the area is in need of police patrols as criminals have taken advantage of the lack of adequate police presence in the area.
The police have no vehicle. So here what we need is intense police patrols. We need police patrols here. Now, the police cannot patrol without transport. That is one thing that the police is lacking. So we need the police to be empowered with transport. So I'm appealing to my president. I know he's a listening president, HAKAINDE HICHILEMA, to please, find well-wishers. Even a van would do. We need even a van, at least for the police to be patrolling. We only have, in Kalikiliki Ward, the whole lot of Kalikiliki Ward, we only have one police station, which is even failing to, to man, the crimes that are, happening here in the ward. So please, my appeal is that we need another police station. That is, maybe it can be taken to Mtendere East and other neighborhood watches.
Some residents are of the view that criminal activities have increased following the banning of political party cadres from collecting levies in bus stations and markets, calling on youth to be empowered with skills. Police spokesperson Esther Katongo, in a statement, has confirmed the incidents, adding that the police will investigate the matter. With 2022 only hours away, citizens are hopeful that concerns such as enhancement of community security will be addressed. Zipporah Mshala, Events of the Year.
Very sad state of affairs there in terms of, the crime rate and in terms of, fires and so on and so forth that happened this year, 2021.
I honestly feel like the fire issues that we were having, it wasn't only one situation, it was from different compounds as well. I feel like that time we had issues of load shedding. So we have habits as people not turning off appliances once power goes. So at some point I was thinking some fire was caused by an electrical fault and stuff like that. So you just need to take precaution.
Yeah, you're right in terms of precaution, in terms of, even the building itself. There's a lot of building without proper consideration. In terms
illegal wiring.
Yeah, the wiring issues. That's why I find that sometimes the people who are doing the electrical system in the houses are not qualified. So that's one of the major reasons of fires, electrical fault and so on and so forth. So that's something that I think people should be, should really pay attention to in terms of when they're constructing, as well as switching off appliances when there's no power and so on and so forth. Yes. And the issue of crime as well.
It increased, but
you've seen a lot of people dying, a lot of people being killed and so on and so forth, suspected murders and so on and so forth. So I think that's the issue that speaks to the authorities now to make sure that people's lives are safeguarded, safeguarded in a way that they provide enough manpower in terms of the police, the security wings, enough police stations and police posts, because some of the complaints of the people, as you heard, was the issue of not having a police post, for instance, or police station nearby,
near the areas,
and you're not really conducting enough patrols in terms of making sure that the crimes are reduced and so on and so forth. So I think that's one of the areas that needs to be looked at.
But anyway, let's get into the next one.
Yeah, so the next story is on the issue of the TEMBO story. And this is one of the stories that will go down in the history of Zambia, especially that this story is attached to the now President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. HAKAINDE HICHILEMA. Unearthed by the opposition FDD leader, Edith Nawakwe, who is in her capacity, alleged that the two siblings, Peluna and Milton HaTembo, who had a case involving a Kalomo farm between then and Mr. HICHILEMA, were kidnapped by Mr. HICHILEMA after claiming ownership of land in the courts of law. The matter was thrown out by the courts, but due to political interference, the two siblings were forced to appeal the case and later withdrew after allegedly being threatened by some powerful people. Now, stakeholders who were mostly pro-PF took an interest and held weekly briefings and demands that the police command be dismissed for failing to find the two siblings. Here are the highlights of this story.
The issue surrounding the HaTembo's disappearance is beginning to get shape, with a new video of the two siblings surfacing Saturday morning. For the past 1 month, police have been investigating their disappearance, with many people being called on the questionable table by the police over the matter, while others have been arrested and released in connection with the matter, the recent being the wife to Chief Mukuni, who spent at least 3 nights in police custody. However, Felona and Milton Hatembo have denied any sort of abduction, claiming they are hiding for fear of losing their lives. In a video statement, they claim Forum for Democracy and Development FDD leader Edith Nawakwi has threatened their lives if they refuse to comply with a demand in the land saga involving United Party for National Development leader HAKAINDE HICHILEMA. Initially, the two siblings had sued Mr. HICHILEMA over a piece of land in Kalomo, a matter that did not see the day of light. Since then, the lives of the Hatembo siblings have never been the same.
We have been running away in the bush, sleeping in the bush, and people keep saying that we are abducted, which is not true. We are not abducted. They are busy arresting innocent people over something that is not true. It is Nawakwi who gave us the promises of buying us vehicles, houses, and other things. If we were to appeal this case against HAKAINDE HICHILEMA in Court of Appeal, we want to tell the nation that we have rejected the offers that Ms. Nawakwi gave us.
And Felona Hatembo is calling on the human rights to secure their safety before they can reveal where they are hiding.
I've come again, people of Zambia. I am crying. Nawakwi has troubled me. Nawakwi is threatening to kill us if we go through the case. I'm being troubled. I've got a child who is disabled. He can't do anything on his own. I have to aid him on anything he's doing. I'm busy running up and down with a disabled child. Please, my fellow women, can you sit Nawakwi down? Talk to her. Why is she doing this to me? We are running away from our houses. No one is keeping us, incarcerating people who are not even involved in this issue. Please, let's not politicize this issue. It's Nawakwi who is troubling us. She promised to kill us. Nawakwi, please, can you leave us alone?
But when contacted for a comment, Forum for Democracy and Development leader Edith Nawakwi has denied the claim.
Right now, I'm with some of their children. They are distraught. They don't know where they are. And why are they not where they are? Why don't they report to the police so that the police can protect them? This country, the only people who can protect human beings is police. I mean, it's like if in you as journalists you're being spun around by the crookedness of the HAKAINDE. If you sit and go through the motion, can you exercise your mind to that? Is it normal for a mother with a sick child to be absent for 4 months?
For now, we can only sit and observe as the matter unfolds. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
We are gravely concerned as a coalition that the Zambia police is not doing its utmost to ensure they secure the safety of the Hatembos.
Yeah.
We are gravely disappointed. And we call on the Inspector General of Police once again and the Commissioner of Police in Southern Province that they must do more. Yes. And ensure that the Hatembos are found without any further delay. We are deeply disappointed that the Zambia Police Service have even denied us an opportunity to engage with the Inspector General of Police.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
As we indicated, we should have been at Force Headquarters.
Exactly.
But the police command has not allowed us to go to the Inspector General of Police and do an engagement.
Shame.
And yet, this is a very important matter of people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. The role of the police, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is to protect, safeguard people's lives. We wish to indicate that the coalition demands that they be found, the Hatembos be found and reunited with their families not later than 2 weeks from today.
That's exact.
We wish to indicate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that failure to release the Hatembos shall cause for the coalition to march to State House and seek audience with the head of state, who is also the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
Yes.
Because ultimately we want to believe that if the police fail us, then we'll have no choice but to go to His Excellency the President and see how the President can help us in dealing with this matter.
Yeah, correct.
We make a passionate appeal to the church, to civil society, ordinary citizens to pray for the missing HATEMBOs. We call on the church mother bodies to dedicate a day of prayer and fasting for the demand that the police must find the HATEMBOs within 72 hours and bring them physically to us, their fellow citizens. We want this to be very clear, that as we have indicated in our statement, the habit, the act of abducting citizens is un-Zambian and unacceptable. We therefore demand that the police must move in and ensure that the HATEMBOs are brought to us, their fellow citizens, within 72 hours so that they can enjoy their fundamental human rights like all of us, and so that they can live in peace as well.
We wish to indicate that a party that cannot manage its internal affairs cannot be trusted to run the affairs of our country. And we wish to advise HH and his party members that politics is not a battlefield for violence, nepotism, tribalism, shooting, and all sorts of violence. Politics is a marketplace where politicians should be able to exchange progressive national ideas with the aim of adding value to the Zambian people.
The defense team, which came very ready to robustly defend their clients, refused. But then the court made a ruling by way of giving a benefit of doubt to the state, that they can be given an opportunity at the next hearing to be able to present their witnesses. So it is hoped that these witnesses will be presented, and the defense team, I think, took it in stride. It is in the interest of justice that such a position is arrived at, so that this matter is dealt with in a manner that is befitting. So as things stand now, the court has just adjourned some 3-4 minutes ago to the 27th of July 2021 for commencement of trial in the matter of abduction of Feluna and Milton HATEMBO, allegedly by accused 1 up to accused number 5. So for now, this is where we leave it. The wheels of justice are in motion. We are well guided by the court's guidance, and we wait and await for the next sitting. And on behalf of the defense team, of course, we are ready to robustly defend our clients.
Yeah. Like we said, I won't say anything on that HATEMBO story. I'll just wait for the authorities to give us because honestly, I feel when we have stories like that, once a conclusion is done or they really get to the bottom of the whole situation, the police should come forth and tell us from how it started and also what the findings were.
The story is quite confusing.
I don't understand anything.
Up to now, I'm still confused. So the thing is,
you too?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's just. I think there's a need for people to come out. Those authorities, those charged with investigations, to come out and explain, because this is one of the stories that people are most interested in.
True.
It's a story of, I can say, public interest.
Yes.
Yeah. So if it's of public interest, we need to know what transpired, what happened, and the final conclusion.
Yes,
who
of
was
course.
to blame, and so on and so forth.
And considering the fact that a lot of big names were mentioned during the whole this whole story, so
So it can't just die a natural death like that.
We
want to know what happened.
No, the root cause.
I mean, it's important. It's important.
It is. Now, getting into our next headline that made a lot of stories, brought a lot of talks during the course of the year 2021 is actually the eligibility of the former president, Edgar Lungu. Now, the eligibility case of the former president, Edgar Lungu, is one of the high-profile cases that made headlines in the 2021. Now, a lot of people actually and stakeholders were against his stance of seeking re-election, stating that he had already covered his 2 terms in office. Now, the matter was taken was then taken to the Constitutional Court for it to be interpreted upon. This story highlights what characterized with the events.
Former President Edgar Lungu's eligibility to stand or rather contest in the 12 August 2021 general elections was one of the hottest debates that made headlines in the year 2021, with different stakeholders giving their comment over the issue.
Which clearly stipulated that President Lungu is eligible to stand in the 2021 election.
In the year 2018, the Constitutional Court ruled in favor of the former head of state, Mr. Lungu, that he was eligible to contest in the 2021 general elections. The court, in its judgment, ruled that the presidential tenure from the 25th January 2015 to the 13th September 2016 did not constitute a term of office. The court had relied on Article 106, Sub-Article 1 and Article 106, Sub-Article 6 of the 2016 Constitution. But just when everyone thought the case was closed, few months before the 12th August 2021 general elections, former UPND Katua Member of Parliament, Bampi Kapalasa, rushed to the Constitutional Court seeking an interpretation over Mr. Lungu's eligibility. He had made an application for the interpretation of the expunged provision of the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia that as to whether the former head of state, Mr. Lungu, when he was president, was eligible to run for a 3rd term while taking into consideration Article 106(1) of 2016 of the Constitution of Zambia and Article 35(1) and 2 of the 1996 Constitution. He was later joined in the case by a Lusaka resident, Joseph Usenga. However, the court dismissed the case.
The court should have had time to hear us. The court should have time to interpret, because this thing is about the Constitution, and the Constitution, all of us as Zambians, we're supposed to protect, defend, and uphold. But from the look of things, they didn't want to listen to any of the things that we raised. So I'm very, very disappointed, and I pray that Zambians out there should rise up and fight the 3rd term.
I was willing above achieving. So we have suffered, I must admit, we've suffered a major setback in terms of acquiring justice and equity.
After dismissing their petition, Chapter 1 Foundation Limited, Legal Resources Limited, and Dr. Shushua also commenced another petition against the former head of state after he filed his nomination. However, the court maintained with its earlier judgment that it had already ruled on the matter during the 2018 Danipule case and dismissed the case.
The issues of holding office twice. So that's when the court said that matter has been resolved already. In short, maybe generally, because we know that's why it's getting to. In short, the court is saying that you cannot question President Edgar Lungu whether he has held office twice or, you know, that argument. So basically what the court is saying, that issue has been resolved and it's been dismissed because it's already resolved in the earlier Danipule case. Yeah.
This made the debate surrounding his eligibility come to its conclusion, leaving the way for him to go ahead and contest in the 12th August 2021 election under the Patriotic Front presidential candidate ticket.
Before the Constitutional Court, in line with our constitutional right under Article 2 of the Constitution to uphold and defend the Constitution as by law established. And in fact, that is also my duty as a legal practitioner. And we did just that. We did attempts to defend the constitution. Unfortunately, the court has ruled against us. It's not that we've changed our views, that we must respect the will of the court. And now it's up to now that the president is on the ballot paper, and the election will go ahead, and it's up to the voters who they want to vote for.
Despite the court giving its judgment, one of the Constitutional Court judges had her own dissenting judgment. Judge Margaret Munalula had a dissenting judgment regarding this issue. In her view, former President Edgar Lungu was not eligible to contest in the 12th August 2021 general elections. Miriam Kemba, Events of the Year.
The issue of eligibility, the election issue, it's also one of the issues that really, got people talking, a lot of interpretation, like we said earlier.
Yeah. A
lot of, lawyers or non-lawyers,
social media lawyers,
and so on and so forth. But how do you look at it?
Honestly speaking, the eligibility talks of former Republican President Dr. Edgar Lungu, I was concerned because I also wanted to find out what really is in the constitution. There were so many petitions from different political people that had political interest and stuff like that. So when it came out that he was actually going to run for the August 12th 2021 general election, everyone kept quiet, but still the fights kept on coming in. Once the Constitutional Court actually ruled that he was going to run and he was eligible to run for the third time, people still were asking questions to why, because that was his third time running. And also, well, the elections were over, and that also talking about the elections, looking at the nullification of different seats from different political parties.
We've seen that a lot, mostly the UPND, losing candidates, petitions, and we are seeing a lot of, there were nullifications, the legal drama that is going on, the people, some MPs being chased out of parliament, according to the speaker, they are not, supposed to be there because of,
How do you understand that one?
How do I understand it?
Yeah.
In my understanding, I think, well, for me, I would say those guys went to the court, seeking some sort of interpretation in terms of they appealed against the nullification of their seats, by the High Court. They appealed to the Constitutional Court. And, well, according to the way things have been done in the past, because according to the way I understand the things, those guys, according to me, are supposed to be there waiting for the Constitutional Court to rule the final ruling. But, I don't know, the Speaker saw it, not according to the law.
Rules?
maybe. She also cited some rules and, well, that's all we can say. I think for now, we just have to see how it goes, because those guys have gone to appeal against what the Speaker did, apart from the
nullification from the Constitutional Court. And also, there were talks from the Patriotic Front telling its members, current members of Parliament, to actually start pushing for is it dismissal?
Impeachment.
Impeachment, yes, that word, impeachment, because of what she did. And like you said, what you've said is what I know. If your seat has been nullified and you appeal to the Constitutional Court, until the Constitutional Court rules that your seat was nullified, you can still attend the House sessions and stuff like that. But I know we're waiting to hear from the Constitutional Court on the 9 members of Parliament seats which were nullified by the High Court. So yeah, that's the one of the fights that came in with the after election, after the whole political violence and stuff like that, and also the fighting back and forth, the eligibility of former Republican President Edgar Lungu, and also some seats being nullified.
Yep.
Yeah.
So okay, we'll move on to the next one. One of the highlights of the August 12th general election. One of the highlights was the general election was quite a major highlight in 2021. That Zambia witnessed a smooth transition of power from one political party to another, being from the Patriotic Front to the United Party for National Development, UPND. Now, the following report by Patrick Soko actually captures some of the major activities in the build-up to the polling day up until the inauguration of HAKAINDE HICHILEMA as Zambia's 7th Republican president. So let's take a look at these highlights from Patrick Soko's report.
The major highlight of the year 2021 is the August 12 general election. The year is unique, and for Zambia's 7th Republican president, HAKAINDE HICHILEMA, it marked the end to the losing streak, which his critics used to demotivate him in his pursuit to lead Zambia. The year came with a number of challenges, from the registration of voters, issues of registering foreigners emerged, and that of disfranchising voters in the opposition strongholds. Then we had the nomination period. We saw presidential candidates unveiling their running mates, with PF's EDGAR LUNGU and UPND's HAKAINDE HICHILEMA taking the center stage.
With my choice, I meditated, reflected on it, and prayed about it. But I can tell you one thing, not all of you will accept her. But please, you should know that not all of you are accepted by everyone else. It's very, very important to know that diversity of opinion and views is what makes the world go round.
I think we all know the pressures they were under in order to disqualify us, but it was not possible. But thank you. We see that alone is a clear demonstration that the nation is being brought together. Let me announce the nation that the alliance that you see here, made up of so many political parties, headed by presidents that come from various parts of this country, I can announce that we are solidly united. Nothing will divide us.
During the campaign period, other challenges emerged, such as political violence and the campaign restrictions in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Both political parties advanced the distribution of masks to interact with voters.
Anduluo took time to distribute face masks to marketeers in the Central Business District in Chilawombwe under strict adherence to COVID-19 health guidelines. For the United Party for National Development, HAKAINDE HICHILEMA was also distributing face masks and hand sanitizers in Solwezi, Northwestern Province. During his arrival in the province, Mr. HICHILEMA was welcomed by many.
Going towards the election date, in the month of August, the former ruling party PF intensified on virtual political rallies. ECL threatened HH with legal action over privatization.
This desire to sell the country's minds back to those people by HH will not be tolerated. Yes, it simply means that when I come back after election on the 12th,
While the UPND continued with the distribution of masks, but it had several setbacks, including being blocked by the police.
Yes, behave yourself, right? Behave yourself.
No, let us agree.
Right? Behave yourself.
Sorry,
because we have a decent conversation. Listen, yes. Listen. After we go where we are going, then we have a meeting of my leaders and the police command to decide how we move. Because I've come here for radio, I've come here within the law. There's a funeral. So I think the decent thing to do is that we are taken out there. From there, you assign a group, a small group of people to talk to my leaders to map out how we are going to work together as civilized people. I'm already a prisoner here, so let's go. You escort us where we are going, because I don't know where I'm going. The locals know where I'm going. Yeah.
On the 11th of August 2021, the PF held a virtual rally.
Mr. Sata, and when I became president, I said, no nonsense, let's go ahead to the ballot, and we won. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is that peace is threatened in Zambia because of one character, one person, and we have to identify and name and shame him instead of pretending and beating about the bush. Because some people have come to me and said, President Lungu, are you willing to accept loss? I said,
and HH held a press briefing at his residency to clear out what he termed as misinformation or propaganda against him.
Any return of a mine, will not offer the mine, as my colleague talked about in the government, to anybody. I challenge him where he got that information. With a militarized political party cadres moving with pangas and guns and maiming people who complain, taking away people's properties. that will come to an end on Monday. Law and order, normalcy will return. That's what we're offering the people.
12 August, the poll day, was characterized by high turnout, and the military was deployed for the first time to maintain law and order during the election. Local and international election observers were on board. ECL, HH and other political leaders cast their votes. As predicted by rights groups, internet was shut down during the voting day using cyber laws which were introduced prior to poll day. People resorted to VPN to bypass the restrictions.
So everybody must be allowed to vote. That's number 2. Because I'm concerned about the speed there. It's slow. These people need to all vote.
Effective 13th August 2021, results were being announced, and it was a bad day in office for the PF officials monitoring the election at Mulungushi International Conference Center in Lusaka.
Notice about a phone call here. If you are saying, no. There is no notice to the phones out of Biden. Where have I done wrong by my wife calling me? Tell me what is wrong. I'm listening. Show it on the phone. Why was to be here Pamonga, PF member, speaking on the phone? Why I was scared? There's nothing wrong with that.
HH took an early lead and finished on that trajectory.
Based on the revelation of the ECZ final results, I will comply with the constitutional provisions for a peaceful transition of power. I would therefore like to congratulate my brother, the President-elect, His Excellency Mr. HAKAINDE, HICHILEMA.
And he was eventually declared the winner with a landslide victory. The celebrations continued. And HH was inaugurated.
I am grateful that the Commonwealth has been allowed to be part of Zambia's remarkable journey since independence.
This victory is not mine, but it is for all you, the citizens of our great country, especially the youth of Zambia.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
What a highlight, a very, very, very good highlight, you know, for the democratic dispensation of the country. I want to focus more on the last part, the part where the inauguration was happening and so on and so forth. Because that just, you know, that was a beautiful moment for Zambia, not only for Zambia, but for Africa as a whole, Southern Africa and other parts of Africa and for the world. We showed the world once again that we're a democratic country and we're able to smoothly transition from one political party to the next, smoothly hand over power, and that is important, you know, for our democracy, but not only for ours, but for other, you know, other countries as well, as an example. But again, we have to see that there was quite a number of activities that happened prior to the actual inauguration day. Of course, we are growing as a democracy.
The build-up.
The build-up, there was, you know, some violence, you know, some suspicions, but at the same time, there was this intense atmosphere of campaigning and so on and so forth, you know, all this happening under the COVID-19, you know, the pandemic and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, what I think and what I've drawn from this year in terms of what happened election-wise, the build-up until the end of the inauguration is just a show of democracy, and I'm sure how far we've come as a country. And I only hope that we can build on that. That's my take.
Well, for me, the political atmosphere from the time the filing in of nomination presidential candidates from different political parties started, the campaigns, the fights, the back and forth from different political parties, up to the inauguration, for me, it was too intense for my liking. But then I discovered that in as much as it was during the COVID-19 pandemic, I was quite impressed that the numbers didn't go up after the elections and also during the campaigns. Obviously, we were following the guidelines, which is one of the things I was proud of, because after the election, I remember we were giving the election updates on set. I even mentioned it on TV to say I pray that the COVID-19 cases don't go up, because in as much as we were talking about following the 5 golden rules of COVID-19, during the elections and when you're going to vote, it's not like I'm going to keep a 1 meter distance, okay? And there were interactions. I was holding the pen that was held by somebody else. So I was happy that the cases didn't go up and stuff like that. And also the inauguration day saw different leaders from different countries across the world, across Africa and stuff like that, that came through to celebrate that particular day. And it was a powerful day, I would say. All in all, the build-up was amazing. That's all I can say.
It was a beautiful day for democracy, a beautiful day for Zambia, and
history was marked. And also the smooth transitioning of power.
Because, you know, we have to understand that, you know, there are countries in Africa where such things don't happen. There's always this military takeover. There's these people dying in the process. You know, this dictatorship where someone a president just won't leave the seat. They have 30, 40 years, but we've done it. We've shown it at least now consistently that we're a democratic country. Yes, we might have a few flaws here and there, but that's just part of democracy. We're a growing democracy, and so those are expected, but we only hope that we can work on them. And, you know, the next election is better than the previous one. But it's a plus for Zambia, it's a plus for democracy, it's a plus for Africa, and we can only build on that. So,
and also during that moment, one of the things that actually made me feel happy is seeing the former Republican President Edgar Lungu and also the current President HAKAINDE HICHILEMA with the former Republican President Mr. Rupia Banda. Actually, that picture showed happiness, okay, which actually showed the Zambian people that why are you cadres fighting each other? Your leaders are actually dining together, and you're out there losing lives, all in the name of just because this one is affiliated to a different political party. So I feel when the leaders came together, and I'm sure they had talks, there were some thanks for holding it the time that you did, and also for the works that you did. And we can't run away from the fact that different governments come with different problems, come with different concerns. So we're just hoping that it's for the betterment of the country as a whole. So, you know, we're looking forward to see how the New Dawn government will be working, which actually, looking forward to that, which actually gets us to our next story. Now, the United Party for National Development, UPND, had on the 29th of October 2021 presented their first 2022 national budget to Parliament, which was worth 173 billion kwacha. Now, the budget was presented by the Finance Minister Stumbeko Msokotwane under the theme Growth, Jobs and Taking Development Closer to the People. Now, some of the major highlights of the 2022 national budget was the government proposed that it will recruit 30,000 teachers and 11,000 health professionals. Now, the UPND government also announced that it had increased allocation to the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, from 1.6 million to 25.11 million kwacha. Now, Prudence Shota actually compiled the events and filed the story.
For National Development, UPND administration has unveiled its first ever national budget to the National Assembly worth 173 billion kwacha under the theme Growth, Job Creation and Bringing Development Close to the Zambian People. One of the major highlights of the budget is the fact that government has increased the Constituency Development Fund allocation from 1.6 million kwacha to 25.7 million kwacha per constituency.
The enhanced CDF is another initiative that government is put in place to help in job creation. Within the CDF are the empowerment schemes that will now reach each and every constituency. Youth and women can access this assistance for business opportunities. Madam Speaker, the most interesting aspect of the enhanced CDF, though, as far as job creation is concerned is that government wants to see the local people themselves to be the beneficiaries of the enhanced CDF.
Another major highlight of the budget is the fact that government has announced that it will recruit 30,000 teachers and 11,000 health professionals.
Well-done administration has found the money to recruit the teachers. Madam Speaker, for the first time in the history of this country, we will recruit 30,000 teachers. This is more than what we've hired in the past 10 years put together. The recruitment will help to reduce the backlog of unemployed teachers over the next 5 years. Madam, tuition, parent-teacher association fees, examination fees, and the tuition fees, those will be abolished.
The ambitious 2022 budget, however, did not fall short of critiques who argued that some of the pronouncements in the 2022 national budget were too good to be true. Other stakeholders, such as the civil society organizations, also added their voices to the budget.
The 2022 national budget has been presented, and various stakeholders feel the budget is unique and diverse as it brings out a number of issues that have never been part of national budgets. The new twist to the budget is the aspect of increasing CDF allocation from 1.6 million kwacha per constituency to 25.7 million kwacha. Various stakeholders reacted to this gesture.
At least 30,000 teachers of the more than 60,000 who are trained are going to be employed. This is a very good development. It will help not only the teachers themselves, but even the learners.
People are asking the question, will this be attained? Definitely it will be attained. It's about discipline, about frugality, about accountability, about transparency, about prioritization. You prioritize expenditure, you can achieve this. You are indisciplined in expenditure, you can't achieve anything.
Former Finance Minister Ngandu Magande shared his perspective on taking services closer to the people.
And if we are getting more of you with those ideas, then it simply means I think the budget has provided an environment for your creation of jobs.
So they're creating jobs at the community level. They're creating opportunities at the community level. For me, I think that's huge. Because like the minister says, it's not everybody that can get a job. But if everybody can tap into these opportunities and say we can do something, then somewhere everybody must do something.
The Minister of Finance has given a number of concessions which are amounting to over 4 billion kwacha, whereas measures that will help to bring in new resources only stand at around 392 million kwacha. So we need to see a Zambia Revenue Authority that is going to work extremely hard to expand the tax base.
So I think diversification is very important, and the government, the new Dawn government actually should encourage farmers to go that way and should actually implement policies that are going to support that diversification.
For this budget, the only thing that you see among the projects that are ongoing is the MCC, the Millennium Challenge Corporation projects. There was that 355 million funding that was done. But the compact or the project ended, so they said that government should complete whatever that has made. Yeah, so if you check in the budget, there is about 145,000 million Zambian kwacha to go to finish those projects that are there. That's the only thing that you see among the projects that are ongoing, which is being reflected, but there are a lot of other projects.
The UPND administration have argued that the implementation of some projects and development are not possible in 2021 because the government has been using the PF budget, and have told the Zambian people to wait and see how development will unfold once their budget gets into effect on 1st January 2022. Now that 2022 is here, we will monitor how the implementation of the budget will unfold. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
One of the things that actually made the country stand still, the day of the national budget, like people were attentive.
As usual.
As usual when it comes to such national matters.
People want to know what is allocated, to their
what,
interests. Yeah. You find that different sectors, people in different sectors, they want to know how much their sector will receive in terms of budgetary allocation, if it will be enough, to cover various activities for the year and so on and so forth. Yeah, but we saw the minister present quite a budget. And why I'm saying quite a budget
is the word.
Yeah, for me, it's the CDF. For me, that stands out.
You've actually mentioned it twice, eh?
Twice. It's quite amazing. Where the CDF was in 1-point-something million kwacha to about 25 million plus kwacha. That's a significant shift upwards. The adjustment is the upward adjustment. But I think it's a good move. According to me, it's a good move. But the implementation part has to really be taken care of in terms of how that money will be. Who's going to handle that money, and the oversight committees or whoever is, how are they going to pay attention to in terms of allocation, in terms of implementation? They need to pay attention to that. But the money is a lot, and they really need to strengthen the structures at constituency level. That will be able to look at that money in terms of do they have the competencies in terms of handling such an amount? It's quite an amount, right?
It is quite an amount.
But if it can be handled well, I guess it will help a lot of poor people. Because if you look at the way the budget, the amount of money that has been given to constituencies, it's one way of decentralization. Removing power from the central government and taking it to the people. So when it comes to this part of decentralization, I think it's a plus. But the systems, like I said, have to be strengthened at local level, at constituency level, so that those people who are tasked, making sure that the budget is used and is used the way it's supposed to be, who are going to identify projects and allocate monies to the project and so on, are well versed and well trained in making sure that the money is given to the right people, is used
given to the right people as well.
That's my sticking point.
The budget for me, honestly speaking, a lot of people had expectations. I remember a week before we had a discussion of what the expectations were from the people in terms of the 2022 national budget, and people were eager to hear what the new Dawn government has in plan for the nation and also the people at large. So the CDF is a plus, I would say, kudos. And also for me, it was the recruitment of the teachers and also health professionals. And also the free education for me still stands out. I'm looking forward to see how that is going to be carried out and how it will go as a project. And also not forgetting that that's only for public schools. So I foresee public schools actually having issues because a lot of people will consider taking their children to for public education. I don't know how that's going to be for people that own private schools and stuff like that in terms of payments. Maybe they'll reduce. Because private schools are quite expensive. If your child goes to a private school, there's quite a cost. There's so many things that you need to pay for. Now, coming to hear that the government has given a free education to people that are in public schools, and also those some private schools that are being assisted by the government, is a plus. I would consider taking my school to a government school and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's a 50-50. I went to a private school. It was not bad. It was okay.
One of the things again when it comes to the budget for me is like the concerns of the people. I mean, some people have expressed, they don't really know where the money is going to come from to fill up some of to fund certain sectors of the budget, because they are saying the budget is ambitious, and but where is the money going to come from in terms of funding the budget and so on and so forth. And some people went as far as doing some calculations and so on, and some sections found that there's a gap in terms of funding.
A certain amount of money that hasn't been allocated anywhere, but it's in the budget.
It's in the budget, but where's that money going to come from, and so on and so forth. Maybe those are some of the things that need to be answered going forward. But I guess they have a plan. I guess they know where the money is going to come from, and I hope it's not going to be the issue of raising taxes for us.
The fuel subsidies have already been removed, which I saw a post on social media. I don't know how true that is, where it says, well, this is where the free education comes in. This has been done. What was the statement? increased it in order to
increase a little so that you can reduce
in the future. So everybody has been asking questions. Of course, it was received with mixed emotions from different stakeholders and also the citizenry. Now the question is just to the situation currently is just to sit and wait and see how all these things will be implemented and how these projects will actually run concerning the 2022 national budget.
We wait to see.
We wait to see.
Best, right?
We hope for the best indeed.
Okay, right. So, Precious, one of the stories that made headlines, you know, this year, 2021, the year we're wrapping up, is that the former Patriotic Front administration had, on the 1st of January 2021, through the Minister of Finance, Dr. Bwalyangandu, signed a statutory instrument number 125 of 2020, which aimed at zero rating, you know, the value-added tax on diesel and petrol. And this was in an effort to avert an unexpected price increase as the country prepared for the elections in August 2021. But the United Party for National Development, UPND administration, has said that the former government did not pay for the losses incurred by subsidizing fuel, thereby merely accumulated unpaid arrears, which now stand at 506.1 million kwacha as at end of September 2021. Finance Minister Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane says his administration will correct the wrong done in the past and has decided to remove subsidies from fuel in an effort to channel resources to other development areas such as education. Now, Prudence Chota once again compiled the events and filed this report.
January 2021, the former Patriotic Front administration, through its Minister of Finance, Dr. Bwalyangandu, signed a statutory instrument number 125 of 2020, which aimed at zero rating the value-added tax on diesel and petrol in an effort to avert an expected price increment as the country prepared for the elections on 12 August 2021. According to the PF government, the decision to remove VAT on fuel was to cushion the potential pump price increase due to the worsening fuel variables. This was done despite the government having given a relief on import duty on fuel. In an effort to keep prices artificially low, the former government did not pay for the losses but merely accumulated unpaid arrears, which now stands at $506.1 million United States dollars as at end of September 2021. And following the victory of the United Party for National Development Administration in the 12th August 2021 general elections, the turn of events have been seen as the government has promised to fix what was destroyed by the PF government. And the fixing has already begun as the UPND administration has decided to remove subsidies from fuel.
The anticipated fuel hike has been announced by the Energy Regulation Body, ERB, Thursday 16, 2021. Effective midnight December 17, petrol will be now selling at 21 kwacha, 0.16 ngwe per litre from the current 17 kwacha, 0.62 ngwe. This comes with an absolute variance of 3 kwacha, 0.54 ngwe. Diesel will be now selling at 20 kwacha, 0.15 ngwe from the initial price of 15 kwacha, 0.59 ngwe with an absolute variance of 4 kwacha, 0.56 ngwe. Democratic Party DP President Harry Kalaba has since added a voice to this fuel hike.
Cost of living in this country is going to just skyrocket. It means transport prices will go up. Bread will become expensive. Everything literally will go up because of this same cost that has come. I thought people voted for the new Dawn government to have relief. Now there's nothing like having relief. It's now survival of the fittest. This is sad. And yet the same government is finding it right to give tax holidays to the money.
The decision was also defended by the Vice President Mutalena Lumango before the floor of Parliament when leader of the opposition Brian Mundubile challenged the UPND administration to explain why they backtracked on their promises of providing cheap fuel, which they promised the Zambian people.
Promise to remove cartels and middlemen from the fuel supply chain, which would result in reduced fuel prices. What happened yesterday is a complete different story. The fuel prices went up. In the recent past, Your Honor, the Vice President, the New Dawn government has earned itself a reputation of backtracking on its promises, a reputation of changing what they promised the Zambian people.
When you know that you don't have the money and you continuously borrow to subsidize like it was being done, I think the indebtedness to the effect of what we have borrowed on fuel was stated in this house. I don't know whether the Honorable is saying let's continue until they come and grab even your wife because you have overborrowed. Because you have overborrowed. Is that the way we want to move? Let us not mislead Zambians. This is a very focused government.
The decision also attracted different reactions from different stakeholders.
Sasitiza government vanechitira so kuti idhulise fuel. Chifukwa fuel ndio moyo wathu kuno mziki. Tizamboenda mtauni. Tezokwera 30 kwacha kuno maiti zamokwera 20 kwacha. Chifukwa cha fuel yamene.
For me, I never expected this. Yes, we know that government was spending a huge amount of money to subsidize fuel and electricity. But as for me, it was better the government to continue doing what they were doing for the people of Zambia to lower the cost of living.
Ero futi mufunika matandizirako bantu amene bovutika unga bapimisa bantu 5 kwacha amene baoda manje bantu muzabatandiza bwanji nakambati new government ikabwerapo vintu vizachita bwanji vizabwerera manje futi vintu vichita bwanji vyenda pamwamba mali tizakala bwanji muziko
at least tuma prices tunatomento enzoendera muloko pama price twenzoenda ati maybe mwenda 30 kwacha tizambo kama ni ma 40 kwacha paja pamene twenzoenda mtown mkaenda ati 100 kwacha ni ma 150.
We will continue to monitor how the UPND government will fix the Zambian economy as per promise. Prudence Jota reporting for Camnet TV News.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. I think I'm just tired. So yeah, like
you're saying, like the issue of statutory instrument which was signed. This one is a little bit more. How can I put it? A little bit more complex, although not very complex. But well, I guess we can just move on to the next story.
Okay. Now, the year 2021 was characterized with a number of unprecedented events leading to change of government as young people across Zambia expressed interest in governance issues by making sure their votes were heard in a national election that saw record-breaking number of youths turn out to vote. Now, opposition leader then HAKAINDE HICHILEMA was declared the winner, defeating the incumbent President EDGAR LUNGU in a landslide victory by over 1 million votes, with over half of those votes coming from people under the age of 35. Now, Camnet TV actually managed to monitor this event. We were giving updates. I remember seeing a photo of Sharon Kalumbula actually laying down at the Mulungushi International Conference Center. That's just so she can give us the information, and it was amazing. So Alex Chishiba actually piled up this report.
Regardless, the Patriotic Front pointing out its achievements in the last 10 years of its tenure, citing improved lives of people through its huge drive to expand infrastructure, highlighting new power stations, schools, hospitals, and international airports in Lusaka, the capital, and in Ndola, the gateway to the copper mining region that lies at the heart of Zambia's economy. Its critics, however, pointed out that the economy was in dire straits. For the first time since 1998, Zambia plunged into a recession in 2020 as the COVID-19 pandemic spread across the globe. Furthermore, the International Labour Organization estimates that unemployment rose to 12.17% in 2020, their highest since the PAF took office in 2011. With these happenings in the past few years, for the youth, things were said to be even worse, with an estimated 1 in 5 without a job. The cost of living had increased rapidly. Prior to the elections, the alleged arrogance of power displayed by the Patriotic Front in defying the concerns of the country's young citizens in the way it ran the affairs of state drove young voters to voice their displeasure. Camnet TV covered some of the views from the young people before poll day.
Going to youths, start forming certain cooperatives, and when you look at most composition of these cooperatives, it leaves much to be desired. I think the youths were not captured in the youth programs.
Aside from the mainstream media, the youth population used the underrated social media platforms by forming its own social media constituency to mobilize itself, which eventually translated into real votes. Mulungushi Conference Center scenery during the UPND's far-in nominations is one of the events that shook the political stage, projecting foggy glimpses of what is to happen on the actual voting day. As this approached the polling day through social and mainstream media, the opposition then, UPND, maintained momentum as the leader HAKAINDE HICHILEMA kept interacting with the youth with a simple message: Bali will fix it. Young people corresponded with a message geared to cast their vote.
I'm fine. I'm glad you registered as a voter.
Yes, I did.
And I'm sure you use your vote wisely. I believe and trust that.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, I just thought I should give you a call to thank you for registering as a voter and to encourage you to use your vote wisely.
Thank you so much.
11th of August 2021, Camnet TV checked the mood, especially among the youth.
Highly anticipated by every Zambian citizen is just around the corner. 12th August 2021, with only a few hours to go when Zambia decides. I get to interact with some citizens and residents of Lusaka and find out their expectations, and this is what they had to say.
Suma sana. Maendeleo kuvuta leo ngavotera abantu turefwaya abari boza fura vota mutima gaiti. Chachine.
Okay. Fyonse na mpekanya?
Fyonse nifika pa table, fyonse fili intact. Mayo kuima no kuima mairo.
Voters card.
Fyonse reje voters card fyonse profit.
Mfabino sana pantu shavota. So ya face daona mfabino sana fi.
Nkabuka instance.
Kubuka face 02 mwe. Kali first time that wavota paso kubuka pama chapa kwa tuka imkutanda mawino.
So hapa ninji vimbamo. Natindea vota inende buka 03. Ichinambo kuipika nyana farika kwa mwana 04 nshintina kula kutakamata.
And finally, 12th August 2021, the day that was characterized with enduring long queues and the scorching sun, a small price to pay, just so that the voters could have what they termed freedom at last. Declaring HICHILEMA winner, Electoral Commission of Zambia chairperson Justice Issa Achulu announced the over 2.8 million against LUNGU's 1.8 million voters. It was one of the biggest electoral victories in Zambia's history. With every new elected president and government comes promises for the brighter future. While the newly elected president HAKAINDE HICHILEMA recognized the role of young people in the election's outcome and promised a better future where youth will be put first. This landmark turnout was not only a win for young people in Zambia, but it was also for the entire continent. The young people were recognized even at global scene. Addressing the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly, United States of America President Joe Biden recognized the role which Zambians youth played in upholding and defending democracy.
It lives in the young people of Zambia who harnessed the power of their vote for the first time, turning out in record numbers to denounce corruption and chart a new path for their country.
The young people are therefore expectant of the new dawning administration to secure their well-being.
Speech, right now I'm on TV, right? That is freedom, because no one is able to kill me or hate me. That's the freedom that we need.
Because not all children come from rich families. Like to me, I don't come from a rich family. So I would ask from the president that he should really empower us. Like he said, that he's going to empower our youths.
With only 4 months in the governing seat, has the UPND-led government satisfied the young people's expectation? Well, for now we wait to see what the year 2022 holds for the young people. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
And again, kudos to the Zambian youths. They did what they had to do.
You see, this election, the one that we had on the 12th of August, just highlighted the importance of the youths in terms of, their importance in the democratic dispensation of our country.
Yeah.
If you noticed, a lot of youth were excited. They wanted to vote, and they turned out in large numbers, and they influenced the election, in a very, very, big way, if I can put it that way. So it just shows just how much commitment that our politicians should have, especially those that are in government, to addressing the issues that are affecting these youths. Because they've got a very, very, big role to play in a general, overall democratic dispensation of our country. And they showed it on the 12th of August. So now, those that are elected should not forget the youths. Because the youths, they say, true. So the thing is that it's important, their needs should also be, taken into consideration and acted upon in terms of employment creation, in terms of creating an enabling environment for the youth to thrive in terms of their entrepreneurial, ideas and So I think that is one key takeaway that our politicians, our leaders should have in mind always as they are creating, policies, as they are trying to implement their budgets, as they are trying to make decisions for the future of the country. Don't forget the youths. Because once you take care of the needs...
Being majority of the voters being the young people, of course they're expectant. We have got so many things that are lined up that youths are going through. Drug abuse, because of unemployment levels, people feel they need to do something just to keep themselves busy. And we have seen quite a number of entrepreneurs. Like the entrepreneurship system currently is filled with a lot of young people because we've got so many people that have badged degrees, have badged diplomas, but they're not finding employments, which is the white-collar job. So kudos to those that have actually opted to do entrepreneurship, unlike just waiting for government to create employment. But all in all, like you said, youths were expectant, hence them wanting the change. They made the change. Now they're just sitting and wanting to see what the New Dawn government has in store for them, because even the speeches that the government was giving, he was mentioning youth a lot. He says, I have this for the young people, this for the youth. So we're looking forward to see how that would turn out.
Sure.
We're still saying, we did a good job. We made history. The U.S. President, Biden, actually said young people, which means, I was a part of that thought.
Exactly.
But anyways, let's get into your story and see what's next before we get to the end of it.
Sure. And one of the key for us as Camnet, of course, is that on December 3rd, 2021, Camnet TV journalist, our very own journalist Patrick Soko, scooped the first prize of the Camnet 2021 Media Awards under television category held at Lusaka's government complex. Now, this is the first awards in the media cycles brought home for Camnet by Patrick Soko. Actually, the first award for our station here. The event was graced by Tobacco Control Group Chairperson Professor Faston Goma, who urged government to double up efforts aimed at enforcing the law against tobacco smoking. We have more in the following report.
Statistics show that each year tobacco kills about 7,142 Zambians, and 60% of these annual deaths from tobacco are among individuals under the age of 70 years. Economically, each year tobacco costs the Zambian economy 2.8 billion kwacha, equivalent to 1.2% of its gross domestic products GDP. These figures has triggered a constant call from non-state actors demanding from both then and now government to act by putting in place measures to protect citizens, especially the young people, from tobacco, which has both health and economic consequences. During the Zambia Media Network Against Tobacco 2021 Awards, Tobacco Control Group Chairperson Professor Faston Goma has underscored the need for government's role in achieving the tobacco-free agenda.
In the New Dawn government, in that is coming in at a time when we are all crying for change. But only us know what change we want to see, isn't it? One good thing I think that is coming out so far is that they are ready to facilitate any change that we call upon, as far as it makes sense to them. And so this is the best time for us to move on the tobacco control front. Tell them that this is the change that we want. Zambia cannot be losing so much money because people want to smoke carelessly. Zambia cannot be losing so much money just because people want to use Nsunko. Anyhow, can we please regulate?
Professor Goma has since called for collaborative support from all stakeholders towards enacting the tobacco control bill.
I think we need to make sure that members of parliament are on it. Should this bill be passed, we have another ball game ahead of us, and that is now enactment or enforcement of the bill. We want the clauses which will appear in that bill to start being obeyed. And again, we say that, most of them will depend on community response. The community must be prepared to help the government enact or to help the government enforce the clauses in that bill.
And the National Action for Quality Education in Zambia, NAKE's Executive Director, Aaron Chansa, has appealed to Ministry of Education to consider introducing mechanisms that will protect children from accessing tobacco.
The tobacco industry is actually targeting the young people, especially those that are in schools. 30 schools were visited in Lusaka across the town, and the results were very bad. That almost all the 30 schools had selling points of tobacco products. And as Professor said, these tobacco products, especially cigarettes, are very cheap to be bought by anybody, even those that are going to school. Which makes very sad reading. You cannot dream of something that will begin to be a middle-income country by 2030, and yet you allow an industry that exposes young people to poison. You can't.
Meanwhile, Camnet TV journalist Patrick Soko has scooped the first prize Zamnet 2021 Media Awards under the television category held at Lusaka's government complex December 3, 2021. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Actually, to someone, Patrick, that comes with money,
Obviously, there must be some talk about appreciation.
If that comes with Soko, we need to talk. I have a story for you. Anyway, one of our first awards. Looking forward to more of those as Camnet TV as a team, and also it was quite a joyous moment for the entire crew.
It's a beautiful moment.
It was, definitely. That's going back to where the award came from, stories of tobacco and also misuse of drugs and stuff like that. I feel like it had increased. When did we have the COVID-19 pandemic? 2019?
From 2019, but here I think it's early 2020 or somewhere there. That's where it landed here.
Beginning of 2020 and stuff like that. I felt like there were so many things that surrounded the COVID-19. It affected a lot of young people, and also that brings us back to the talk of the increased numbers of GBV cases and also alcohol and drug abuse. Hence, there were so many talks from the health professionals saying offer more support to people that were found with COVID-19, because it was kind of like had a mental toll on an individual. So all in all, the award was given to Patrick Soko, who got the first prize because he carries out a lot of issues that have to do with drug abuse and also the tobacco issues and stuff like that. Sure. So now getting into our sports story. Zambia national football team on the 16th of November 2021 failed to actually qualify to the World Cup qualifiers, the biggest, while the under-17 women were crowned champions of December 6th, 2021. Now, among many other disciplines in the world of sports, Blessing Chakwila compiled the highlights. Let's take a look at this.
The year 2021 saw a great number of sporting activities being undertaken, such as the Olympic Games in China, World Cup qualifier, where the Tripolopolo was disqualified, to mention but a few. On the 16th of November 2021, Zambia national football team failed to qualify to the World Cup qualifier. This development frustrated a lot of soccer fans in that they reached a point where they wanted the first president, Andrew Kamanga, dismissed. Camnet Sports engaged the Sports Fan Association patron, Peter Makembo, who had this to say.
Tunisia, it's a very important game for us because it's a deciding game. So I was speaking to Beston Chambeshi to say, consider moving in a block form and tell the team to say, the fans back home, they believe in you. They are going just to miss us in a physical form, but in spirit we are with them. We would have traveled, but things didn't go according to what we thought it could go on our side. So we are back home. Meanwhile, being at back home, our hearts, our minds are already in Tunisia. Our another earnest appeal is on ZESCO. Since the game will be played at night, the funds will be moving from one place to another in search of where there will be power. So ZESCO, they should avoid their load shedding, because at that awkward time, people will be moving from one place to another. Some misguided people, they will take advantage.
On a good note though, the Zambia Under-17 national team made Zambia proud when they brought the COSAFA Cup home.
The marking of Botswana wasn't that perfect, and Zulu smashed the ball into the net.
2 goals for JC Zulu in this tournament. That's the best of the two, giving Karabaloka absolutely no chance. She smashed that home. Pumula always involved in all things good for Zambia.
When they are marking and spraying those passes.
On December 6, 2021, Zambia Under-17 women national team were crowned champions of Africa Union Region V Games.
Womba Mwale. Thanks to Pumula as well. They all would have been hoping for at the...
This development was a plus achievement that came in the middle of the observation of the 16 days of gender activism. Zambia thrashed Botswana 4 goals to 0 in a one-sided final. In a related development, on the 30th of June 2021, Leicester signed Zambia striker Patson Daka from Red Bull Salzburg on a 5-year deal thought to be worth 22 million euros. Patson Daka scored a great number of goals for Leicester City. The Zambian striker kept adding to his records for the Foxes, having become the first Zambian player to score a hat-trick in a major European competition.
Happy that I was able to help the team carry the day, which was very important. Very great performance of the team.
And how were you greeted in the changing room just now by your teammates? They must have been absolutely delighted for you.
Yeah, everyone is so happy for me. I'm sure you saw it on the pitch. Everyone is really happy. The support, the love, the atmosphere and the team is really great. We're supporting each other each and every day, and we're putting the team first, which is very important for us.
Go on then, what's your favourite goal of the night? You've got 4 to choose from.
Wow, so hard to pick, but
2021 also saw Fashion Sakala having paid a courtesy call on the head of state, HAKAINDE HICHILEMA, while he's in England, where he said the president was a great inspiration to many young people.
A big example to all the Zambians that nothing is impossible. And I can tell, like in the Bible, in Luke 1 verse 37, it says, nothing is impossible with God. And you are a very good example. I'm one of the examples from the village.
Good one, a good one.
Yeah, from the village, and here we are today.
Yes.
We are taking Zambia to another level. I'm very proud of you as a person. That's the most important thing. I think even before you became the president, I was more proud for you as a person. And that's what touched my heart. And when you won, you have lost a lot of times, but you never gave up. That's the most important thing. You lost, but you never gave up. You believed, you kept on saying there is God who will fight for me, until now you're the president, you have made it.
In other sports activities that happened during 2021, on the 14th of November 2021, Zambia national rugby women beat the then hosting Namibia by 75 points to 5. A 23-lady squad traveled to Windhoek. Zambia are 5th in Africa and 30 in the world.
Saturday, the 13th of November, at the Hage Geingob Stadium, right there in Windhoek. So Zambia is currently 5th in Africa and 30th in the world, while Namibia is on number 51 in the world. So already at the moment we have an advantage in as far as the rankings are concerned, but obviously the final results of this weekend's game will have some implications obviously on who takes a step up and who takes that step down. So obviously as a union, we are very confident in the team that was chosen by Coach John Chibamba. The team is captained by Natasha Musonda, and the vice captain is Veronica Lungu. So that game will be played at 15:30 local time.
And in a related development, the Zambia Chess Federation finally selected 10 players that made it to the national team after contesting in the final phase of the chess tournament.
Yes, definitely we are having the final phase of the chess championship, which is slated for tomorrow to be played at Apex University in Roma, Kendwa Road. This tournament is a very important tournament because it's from this tournament that we are going to pick the national champion, and also for both male and female, and also it's a tournament that is going to pick the national team that will be able to take the team to that is going to go to Russia to represent Zambia at the Chess Olympiads. So it's a very important tournament.
The players will participate in the forthcoming Olympic Games in Russia.
Talking about sports, I feel like we should actually also concentrate on these other sports and encourage people to get into this. I feel like having an activity when it comes to sports is one of the things that would actually keep the young people busy during the times that they're not doing much. Like tennis, rugby. I've seen some rugby tournaments though, but it's not that serious. Boxing. Where is Esther Perry?
Well, Esther Perry is no longer actively in boxing.
Yes, she's not. But where is she?
Catherine Perry, there was.
She has a uniform.
She's supposed to fight. There's supposed to be a fight, which I don't know. It hasn't taken place yet, I guess.
She's in a uniform. I don't know what institution she's with. No. Yes, Catherine Perry. Catherine Perry.
She's with one of the wings, military wings or something.
Oh yeah.
I think ZAF or something like that. I'm not sure. But,
but anyways, it has been what it has been.
When it comes to sport as well, I think it's important to like you have said, there's too much focus as always on football.
Yeah.
But what we can do is we can, I think, going forward 2022, let's really also focus on these other sports that are so-called minor sports. You see, our friends in other countries, in Europe and other countries, you know, they make a living out of sport.
True.
It's not just football. You understand? That's why I find that people just equate sports to football and so on. But I mean, we can do better in terms of promoting other sports. But at the same time, we wish that 2022 can be better in terms of football, because in Zambia, that's the main sport.
Hoping that actually gets to happen.
Sure.
Because anyway, Tomani here for Tomani here. How do you say us?
I don't know.
Anyway, Tomani here, twalumba kapati, twaunka kunganda, tuye mukulia.
So I'll translate that for everybody.
I'm trying to speak Tonga, but it's not coming out. But anyways, we have come to the end of events of the year. Camnet TV News Summary. We've given you some highlights that actually made headlines in our books from the 1st of January 2021 to the 31st of December today, 2021. I hope that you've caught up with some stories that you missed out and stuff like that. Anything you have to say before we say bye?
Well, I can only say thank you so much, our viewers, for this year in terms of our news. We promised better packages, you know, in 2022, and we hope that you still follow us in terms of, you know, our news. We pledge to improve for you, and we pledge to even do much better. But keep coming and tell that other person who has never seen Camnet and so on to also come on board and watch our news. It's very objective, it's very balanced, and it's very good news. And thank you so much to our viewers.
Yes, of course. Now remember, it's only at Camnet TV where you have factual, balanced and unbiased news bulletin. Well, compliments of the season from Camnet TV, and also would love to say thank you for the support that has come through from different people. Your support support is what has made us get to where we are. Well, from me, Precious Mzea, Sakaleji, what's your name? What's your name? Geoffrey Yambo.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Munungwe and also Isaac Chifita that were helping out with the transmission.
And the entire news crew.
And the entire news crew for actually finding time to come up with all these stories and gathering them and checking the files. It wasn't easy, but we have made it. Yeah. Well, from us, it's have a beautiful day, and in case, no, I'll see you tomorrow on the breakfast show. So I'll say Happy New Year tomorrow. For now, it's Happy New Year's Eve. Compliment of the season.
Thank you. Bye-bye.